Justin exhaled deeply, his muscles flexing as he transitioned from downward dog to warrior pose. The morning sun warmed his bare chest, a light sheen of sweat glistening on his skin. He savored the tranquility of his secluded meadow, the last bastion of nature in a world consumed by virtual reality. A sudden flash of blue caught his eye. Justin blinked, convinced his mind was playing tricks on him, but there they were, two stunning azure-skinned women, their large almond-shaped eyes fixed on him in wonder. "Holy shit," Justin muttered, stumbling out of his pose. He'd seen some weird things since the world went digital, but this took the cake. Were they some kind of new AI projection? Or had he finally cracked from the isolation? The taller of the two aliens, because what else could they be, took a hesitant step forward. "Greetings, Earth creature," she said, her voice melodic yet hesitant. "We are Lavea and Pelea of the Zeraxian Empire. We come in peace." Justin couldn't help but chuckle. "Well, that's a relief. I'd hate to have to defend Earth in my yoga pants." He gave them a lopsided grin, noting how their eyes widened at his casual demeanor. "I'm Justin. Welcome to what's left of humanity's playground." Lavea and Pelea exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. The shorter one, Pelea, Justin guessed, spoke up. You are real? A living human?" "Last time I checked," Justin replied, patting his abs for emphasis. 100% genuine Homo sapiens at your service." The alien's jaws dropped in perfect unison. "Impossible," Lavea breathed, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "Our records indicated that Earth's population had succumbed to virtual stasis centuries ago." Justin's smile faded slightly. "Yeah, well, most of them did. I'm one of the few holdouts who chose reality over fantasy." He gestured to the overgrown ruins of a nearby city. "It's not always easy, but someone's got to keep the lights on, you know?" Pelea tilted her head, curiosity blazing in her violet eyes. "You deliberately eschewed the comforts of simulated paradise. For what purpose?" Justin shrugged, suddenly self-conscious under their intense scrutiny. "To live, I guess. Really live. Feel the sun, smell the grass, push my body to its limits." He grinned again, unable to resist a bit of playful flirtation. "Meet beautiful alien women who fall from the sky." To his surprise, both Lavea and Pelea blushed a deeper shade of blue. Lavea cleared her throat. "Your planet was once renowned throughout the galaxy for its sensual pleasures. We had assumed such things were lost to time." "Oh, honey," Justin drawled, "you ain't seen nothing yet. But first things first, you ladies look like you could use a snack. How about some good old-fashioned Earth hospitality?" He led them to a nearby fruit tree, plucking ripe peaches from its branches. The twins watched in fascination as Justin took a big, juicy bite, juice dribbling down his chin. "Go on," he encouraged, offering them each a peach. "I promise they won't bite back." Lavea and Pelea hesitantly accepted the fruit, their delicate fingers brushing against Justin's calloused hands. They sniffed the peaches cautiously before taking tentative nibbles. The effect was instantaneous. Their eyes widened in shock, then fluttered closed in pure bliss. Soft moans of pleasure escaped their lips as they devoured the peaches with increasing enthusiasm. Justin watched, mesmerized by their reactions. He'd never seen anyone get so worked up over fruit before. It was kinda hot, actually. "Good, huh?" he asked, his voice a little huskier than intended. Pelea nodded vigorously, licking her fingers clean. "I have never experienced such intensity of flavor. Our nutrition capsules pale in comparison." "Nutrition capsules?" Justin's eyebrows shot up. "Oh man, you poor things. We've got a lot of work to do." Lavaya finished her peach, her expression growing serious. "Justin of Earth, while we are grateful for your hospitality, I fear we cannot linger. We came only to bear witness to your world's final state before entering our own cryosleep." Justin's heart sank. "Cryosleep? But you just got here, and it sounds like you could use a vacation if you ask me." Pelea sighed, her shoulders slumping. "Our civilization is dying, Justin. We have searched the stars for compatible mates, for a way to reignite the passion that once defined our species, but we have found only disappointment." "So you're just giving up?" Justin couldn't keep the incredulity from his voice. "Putting yourselves on ice and hoping for the best?" Lavaya's eyes flashed with a mixture of anger and sorrow. "You cannot understand. We have exhausted every option. Every—" "Bullshit," Justin interrupted, his tone gentler than his words. "You haven't tried everything. You haven't tried Earth." The twins stared at him, confusion evident on their lovely features. Justin ran a hand through his hair, searching for the right words. "Look, I get it. The universe can be a cold, lonely place. But giving up? That's not living. That's just existing." He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to propose. "Stay. Just for a little while. Let me show you what it means to really feel alive." Lavaya and Pelea exchanged another of their silent looks. Justin could practically see the wheels turning in their heads, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, Pelea spoke. "What exactly did you have in mind, Justin of Earth?" A slow grin spread across Justin's face. "Oh, you know, a little of this, a little of that. Swimming in crystal-clear lakes, watching the sunset paint the sky, dancing under the stars." He winked. "Maybe even a back rub or two, if you're lucky." Lavaya's cheeks darkened again, but there was a spark of interest in her eyes. "And you believe these activities could reignite our passion for life?" Justin's gaze softened as he looked at the two beautiful, lost souls before him. "I think it's worth a shot. What have you got to lose?" Another moment of silent communication passed between the twins. Then, as one, they turned to Justin with tentative smiles. "Very well, Justin of Earth," Lavaya said. "We accept your offer. Show us what it truly means to live." Justin's heart soared. He hadn't realized how much he'd been craving companionship until this moment. "Ladies," he said with an exaggerated bow, "you won't regret it. Now, who's up for a swim?" As he led them towards his favorite swimming hole, Justin couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to get a whole lot more interesting. And maybe, just maybe, he could save these alien beauties from a frozen fate. Little did he know, Lavaya and Pelea were harboring similar thoughts about their charming human host. The adventure was only beginning. Justin's bare feet slapped against the sun-warmed rocks as he led Lavaya and Pelea down the winding path to his favorite swimming hole. The alien twins followed close behind, their graceful movements belying their obvious curiosity about their surroundings. "Watch your step here," Justin called over his shoulder, pointing out a particularly treacherous section of the trail. "These rocks can be slippery." No sooner had the words left his mouth than Pelea let out a startled yelp. Justin whirled around just in time to see her lose her footing on a moss-covered stone. Without thinking, he lunged forward, catching her in his arms before she could hit the ground. Time seemed to stand still as their eyes met. Justin became acutely aware of Pelea's soft curves pressed against his chest. Her skin cooled to the touch despite the warm day. A faint, intoxicating scent, something like lilacs and stardust, filled his nostrils. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice rougher than intended. Pelea blinked rapidly, a deeper shade of blue creeping up her neck. Yes, thank you, Justin. He set her back on her feet, immediately missing the contact. Lavaya watched the exchange with an unreadable expression. Her violet eyes narrowed slightly. Perhaps we should proceed with more caution, Lavaya suggested, a hint of something in her tone. Jealousy? Protectiveness? Justin couldn't quite place it. Right, he agreed, clearing his throat. We're almost there anyway. You're gonna love this place. A few minutes later, they emerged from the tree line into a secluded cove. A small waterfall cascaded down moss-covered rocks, feeding into a crystal-clear pool surrounded by lush vegetation. The late afternoon sun dappled the water's surface, creating a mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. By the stars, Lavaya breathed, her earlier reservations forgotten. It's beautiful. Justin beamed with pride. Wait till you feel how good the water is. Last one in's a rotten egg. Before the twins could react, he stripped off his shirt and dove headfirst into the pool. He surfaced a moment later, shaking water from his hair like a dog. Come on in, he called. The water's perfect. Lavaya and Pelea exchanged uncertain glances. We do not have appropriate attire for aquatic activities, Lavaya explained hesitantly. Justin laughed. Who needs swimsuits? It's just us out here. Live a little. The twins' eyes widened in shock. You suggest we disrobe entirely? Pelea squeaked. Why not? Justin shrugged, treading water. Nothing I haven't seen before. Well, okay, maybe not quite like you two, but you get the idea. No judgment here. He could practically see the internal struggle playing out on their faces. Finally, Pelea squared her shoulders and began unfastening her form-fitting bodysuit. Sister, Lavaya hissed. What are you doing? Pelea paused, her suit half undone. We came here to experience life, did we not? To rediscover passion and pleasure? She cast a shy glance at Justin. I, for one, am curious to feel this perfect water on my skin. Lavaya's mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. With a resigned sigh, she began removing her own clothing. Justin politely averted his eyes as the twins undressed, giving them a modicum of privacy. When he heard twin splashes, he turned to see Lavaya and Pelea surfacing near him, their blue skin glistening in the sunlight. Well, he asked, grinning, what's the verdict? Pelea let out a delighted laugh, spinning in a graceful circle. It's wonderful, so cool and refreshing. Even Lavaya couldn't hide her smile. I must admit, this is quite invigorating. Told ya, Justin said with a wink. Now, who wants to see who can hold their breath the longest? The next hour passed in a blur of laughter, splashing, and increasingly ridiculous competitions. Justin taught the twins how to float on their backs, marveling at how quickly they took to the water. He tried not to stare at their lithe, athletic bodies, but it was a losing battle. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, they reluctantly climbed out of the pool. Justin tossed them each a soft towel he'd stashed nearby. So, he said, running the towel through his hair, what did you think of your first earth swim? Pelea's eyes shone with excitement. It was exhilarating. I've never felt so alive. Lavaya nodded in agreement, though her expression was more reserved. It was certainly a novel experience, though I fear we may have been rather immodest. Justin chuckled. Trust me, modesty is overrated. Besides, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. He immediately regretted the words as both twins fixed him with intense stares. I mean, you know what? Who's hungry? I make a mean campfire dinner. As they dressed and gathered their things, Justin couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. He'd managed to coax these reserved alien beauties out of their shells, if only for a little while. It was a start, but as they hiked back towards his camp, a nagging worry gnawed at the back of his mind. What would happen when their visit came to an end? Could he really let them go back to their dying world, to sleep away eternity in cryopods? Justin pushed the thought aside. He had time. Time to show Levea and Pelea everything Earth had to offer. Time to make them fall in love with life again. And maybe, just maybe, time for them to fall in love with him too. As the trio approached Justin's camp, the scent of wood smoke and roasting vegetables filled the air. Justin had prepared a simple feast: corn on the cob, baked potatoes, and skewers of colorful bell peppers and mushrooms, all cooking over a crackling fire. "Welcome to Chez Justin," he announced with a flourish. "Earth cuisine at its finest." Levea and Pelea exchanged uncertain glances. "It smells intriguing," Levea ventured. Justin chuckled. "Just wait till you taste it. Here, let me show you how it's done." He demonstrated how to shuck the corn, explaining the process as he worked. The twins watched in fascination, their delicate blue fingers mimicking his movements. "Like this?" Pelea asked, holding up a perfectly shucked ear of corn. "Exactly," Justin beamed. "You're a natural." Levea frowned, her own attempt looking decidedly messier. "I fail to see the purpose of such inefficient food preparation." "The purpose?" Justin raised an eyebrow. "It's fun. Plus, food always tastes better when you work for it a little." As they settled around the fire to eat, Justin couldn't help but notice how the flickering flames cast an ethereal glow on the twins' azure skin. Pelea eagerly bit into her corn, her eyes widening in delight. "Oh," she exclaimed, "it's so crisp and sweet." Levea was more hesitant, delicately nibbling at a bell pepper. "The textures are quite varied," she observed. "Not unpleasant, but unfamiliar." Justin grinned. "That's the beauty of real food. Every bite's an adventure." As they ate, Justin regaled them with stories of his life on Earth, his decision to reject virtual reality, his struggles to maintain a semblance of civilization, and the joys he'd discovered in embracing the natural world. "But don't you get lonely?" Pelea asked, her violet eyes shimmering with empathy. Justin's smile faltered for a moment. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But then I remember all the people trapped in their VR pods, missing out on real experiences. I'd rather be lonely and alive than lost in a fake paradise." Levea tilted her head, studying him intently. "Your dedication to authenticity is admirable. Perhaps there is wisdom in your approach." As the night wore on, Justin pulled out an old acoustic guitar. "How about some music to end the evening?" he suggested. The twins leaned forward, intrigued. Justin began to strum a gentle melody, his fingers dancing across the strings. As he sang, his rich baritone filled the night air. Pelea swayed to the rhythm, her eyes closed in bliss. Even Levea couldn't hide her fascination, her foot tapping unconsciously to the beat. When the song ended, Pelea clapped enthusiastically. "That was beautiful. We have nothing like this in our world." "Really?" Justin asked, surprised. "No music at all?" Levea shook her head. "Our society values efficiency above all else. Such frivolous pursuits were deemed unnecessary generations ago." Justin's heart ached at the thought. "Well, we'll have to fix that. Music isn't frivolous. It's essential. It speaks to the soul." He played a few more songs, teaching the twins simple harmonies and encouraging them to sing along. Their voices, initially hesitant, grew stronger and more confident with each chorus. As the fire died down to embers, Justin noticed Pelea shivering slightly. Without thinking, he draped his arm around her shoulders. She stiffened for a moment, then relaxed into his embrace. Lavea's eyes narrowed at the gesture. "Perhaps we should retire for the evening," she suggested, a hint of frost in her tone. Justin nodded, suddenly aware of the intimate moment he'd created. "Right, of course. I've got a spare tent set up for you two. We've got a big day ahead tomorrow. I thought we'd go for a hike, maybe do some yoga in the mountains." As the twins retreated to their tent, Justin couldn't shake the feeling that he was playing with fire. These weren't just any women. They were aliens, representatives of a dying civilization. And yet, he couldn't deny the growing attraction he felt towards both of them. Sleep did not come easily that night. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Justin led the twins on a challenging hike up a nearby mountain, pushing their alien physiology to its limits. To his surprise and delight, Lavaya and Pelea kept pace with him easily, their natural grace and agility serving them well on the rocky terrain. As they reached the summit, Justin spread his arms wide, drinking in the panoramic view. "Now this," he declared, "is what I live for." Pelea gasped in wonder, her eyes wide as she took in the sweeping vistas. Even Lavaya seemed impressed, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "It is quite spectacular," she admitted. Justin grinned. "Ready for some summit yoga? I promise you've never done downward dog like this before." He led them through a series of poses, the crisp mountain air invigorating their bodies. Justin couldn't help but admire the twins' flexibility and strength as they flowed from one asana to the next. Lavea, in particular, seemed determined to outdo him, pushing herself into increasingly complex poses. "Is this correct?" she asked, balancing effortlessly in a one-armed handstand. Justin's jaw dropped. Yeah, wow, you're a quick study." Pelea giggled at her sister's show-off behavior. "Lavaya has always been the competitive one," she confided to Justin. As they made their way back down the mountain, Justin's mind raced with possibilities. These alien women were unlike anyone he'd ever met, strong, intelligent, and undeniably attractive. But how could he possibly pursue a relationship with either of them, knowing they were destined to return to their dying world? That evening, determined to up the ante, Justin prepared a romantic candlelit dinner. He'd scavenged some old solar-powered fairy lights from an abandoned store, stringing them up around his campsite to create a magical ambience. When Lavaya and Pelea emerged from their tent, their eyes widened in wonder at the transformation. "Justin," Pelea breathed, "this is enchanting." Even Lavaya looked impressed. "You've gone to considerable effort," she observed. Justin shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant. "Well, it's not every day I get to entertain such lovely alien visitors." He'd prepared a simple but elegant meal: grilled fish from a nearby stream, roasted vegetables, and a bottle of wine he'd been saving for a special occasion. As they ate, the conversation flowed easily. Justin found himself opening up about his hopes and fears, his dreams for the future of humanity. The twins, in turn, shared more about their own culture, its triumphs and its failures. "I never imagined I could feel so alive," Pelea confessed. Her cheeks flushed from the wine. "Our world has become so sterile, so focused on survival that we've forgotten how to truly live." Lavaya nodded solemnly. "I fear she's right. We've lost touch with the very essence of what makes life worth living." Justin leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Then stay," he urged. "Stay here on Earth. Help me rebuild, create a new society that values both progress and passion." The twins exchanged a look, a silent communication passing between them. "It's not that simple," Lavaya said softly. "We have a duty to our people, to our history." "But what good is history if there's no future?" Justin argued. "You said it yourself. Your civilization is dying. Maybe this is the fresh start you need." Pelea reached out, placing her hand on Justin's arm. "We cannot make such a monumental decision lightly," she said, "but we appreciate the offer, more than you know." As the evening wore on, Justin found himself torn between the twin sisters. Pelea's warmth and enthusiasm drew him in, while Lavea's quiet strength and hidden depths intrigued him. He knew he was playing a dangerous game, but he couldn't seem to help himself. Finally, as the candles burned low, Justin stood up. "I've got one more surprise for you," he announced. He retrieved his guitar and began to play a haunting melody. As he sang, his voice rich with emotion, he saw tears glistening in Pelea's eyes. Even Lavea seemed moved, her usual composure cracking slightly. When the last notes faded away, silence fell over the camp. Justin's heart pounded in his chest as he set the guitar aside. "I've never felt a connection like this," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "With either of you. I know it's crazy, I know we come from different worlds, but I can't ignore what I'm feeling." Lavoya and Pelea exchanged another of their silent looks. Then, to Justin's surprise, they both stood and approached him. "We feel it too," Pelea said softly. "It is unexpected," Lavaya added, "but undeniable." Before Justin could respond, Pelea leaned in and kissed him gently on the cheek. Not to be outdone, Lavea did the same on his other cheek. Justin's head spun, caught between elation and confusion. Wow, okay. So, what does this mean? For us? For your plans?" Lavea's expression turned serious. "We still have much to consider. Our duty to our people cannot be ignored." "But," Pelea added with a smile, "perhaps we can allow ourselves to explore these feelings while we're here, to truly experience all that Earth and you have to offer." Justin nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. "I can work with that," he said. "Just promise me one thing." The twins looked at him expectantly. "Promise me you'll keep an open mind. About staying. About us." Lavea and Pelea shared one final look before turning back to Justin with matching smiles. "We promise," they said in unison. As the weight of their promise settled between them, the air around the campfire grew charged with an unspoken tension. Justin's heart pounded, his breath hitching as he stood between the two stunning alien twins. Lavaya and Pelea stepped closer in perfect synchrony, their azure skin glowing faintly in the dim firelight, their eyes reflecting the flickering flames. Justin's pulse quickened as he met their gazes, a mixture of excitement, uncertainty, and desire roiling within him. They had promised to be open, to explore this connection, not just with Earth, but with him. And now, standing so close, that promise felt like it was about to be realized in a way he hadn't fully anticipated. Pelea was the first to reach out, her fingers brushing softly against his arm. Justin shivered under her touch, the warmth of her hand a sharp contrast to the cool evening air. Her violet eyes sparkled with curiosity and something more, something primal. Lavaya watched intently, her expression less overt, but her body language betrayed her intrigue. The quiet, intense energy she exuded was undeniable, drawing Justin in just as much as Pelea's open warmth. "Are you sure?" Justin's voice was low, husky, as he glanced between the two of them. Pelea smiled softly, her hand moving up to his chest, her touch now bolder. "We are curious, Justin, about life, about you." Lavaya's voice joined her sister's, soft but resolute. And you said yourself, life is about feeling, experiencing. Justin swallowed hard, his heart pounding in his chest. He was acutely aware of both of them now. Pelaya's fingers tracing light patterns over his chest, and Levia's steady gaze that seemed to pierce through him. Every instinct in him screamed that this was uncharted territory, that he was standing on the precipice of something both exhilarating and dangerous. With a slow, deliberate movement, Levia stepped forward and placed her hand on his other arm, mirroring her sister's touch. Her fingers were gentle but firm, the coolness of her skin sending a jolt through him. She leaned in, her breath warm against his neck as she whispered, "Show us, Justin. Show us what it means to be truly alive." That was all the invitation he needed. Justin pulled them both closer, his body reacting instinctively to the soft press of their forms against his. Pelea let out a quiet sigh of pleasure as his hands found the curve of her waist, his touch firm but careful. Levia, ever the composed one, remained silent, but her breath hitched as his other hand settled on her lower back, drawing her in until the three of them were pressed together, their bodies flush with the heat of anticipation. The fire crackled softly behind them, but in this moment, it felt as if the world had shrunk down to just the three of them, bound by the electric current of desire that coursed through the night air. Pelea tilted her head up, her lips parting slightly as she gazed into Justin's eyes. He felt her breath against his lips, the closeness between them sparking a new wave of urgency. Without hesitation, Justin closed the distance, his lips meeting hers in a slow, heated kiss. Pelea responded immediately, her fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt as she pressed closer, her body molding against his in a way that felt both foreign and deeply familiar. The kiss deepened, Pelaya's soft moans vibrating against Justin's lips. He pulled her closer, the heat between them growing as the kiss turned more urgent. His hands roamed over her back, exploring the smooth, alien texture of her skin, the coolness of it contrasting with the heat that radiated from both of them. Levia, not to be outdone, leaned in as well. Her lips found the side of his neck, placing slow, deliberate kisses along his skin, sending shivers down his spine. Justin groaned softly, caught between the two of them, his senses overwhelmed by the feel of their bodies against his, cool, lithe, and irresistibly alluring. He shifted his attention to Levia, turning his head just enough to capture her lips with his own. The kiss was different, less eager than with Pelea, but no less intense. Levia's control was palpable, her lips moving against his with precision, almost testing, as if learning the taste and feel of him for the first time. The dual sensations, Pelaya's warm passion and Levia's cool restraint, left Justin breathless, his body responding to both in ways that made it impossible to think of anything else but this moment, here and now. His hands roamed between them, exploring, feeling the way their bodies reacted to his touch and the way their soft moans and gasps of pleasure filled the air. Before he knew it, their clothes were being shed, discarded carelessly onto the ground beside the dying fire. Justin's skin prickled in the cool night air, but the heat between them was more than enough to keep him warm. Pelaya's soft curves pressed against him, her skin glowing faintly under the moonlight while Levia moved behind him, her hands sliding over his shoulders, down his back, until he was caught in a whirlwind of sensation. Every touch, every kiss, every movement was a revelation, a blending of cultures, of bodies, of desires. Justin found himself lost in the moment, caught between the two alien women, each touch, each caress drawing him deeper into this intoxicating dance of pleasure and discovery. Their bodies moved together in perfect harmony, a rhythm that was both primal and tender, filled with a shared hunger to experience, to feel, to live. As the night wore on, the boundaries between them blurred, their voices joining in a chorus of pleasure as they explored every inch of each other's bodies, driven by the need to connect, to feel alive. By the time the first light of dawn began to peek over the horizon, Justin lay between them, his body spent, but his mind still reeling from the intensity of the night. Lavea and Pelaya rested against him, their breathing soft and even, their bodies entwined with his in a way that felt right. Justin's thoughts raced as he stared up at the sky, the weight of what had just happened settling over him. He knew things would never be the same after tonight, not for him and not for them. But as he lay there, surrounded by the warmth of their bodies, he couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. The days that followed were a whirlwind of new experiences and deepening emotions. Justin threw himself into the role of Earth's ambassador, determined to show Lavea and Pelaya every wonder their world had to offer. They hiked through lush forests, swam in crystal-clear lakes, and watched in awe as auroras danced across the night sky. But as their time together stretched on, a growing tension began to simmer beneath the surface. Justin couldn't help but notice the faraway looks that occasionally clouded the twins' eyes, or the hushed conversations that would abruptly cease when he approached. One evening, as they sat around the campfire, Justin decided to broach the subject. "All right, out with it," he said, trying to keep his tone light. "What's got you two so preoccupied lately?" Lavea and Pelaya exchanged one of their silent looks, a whole conversation passing between them in the span of a heartbeat. Finally, Lavea spoke. "We have received a transmission from our home world," she said, her voice carefully neutral. "Our presence is requested." Justin's stomach dropped. He'd known this moment would come eventually, but he'd foolishly allowed himself to hope it might be later rather than sooner. "Requested?" he repeated, latching onto the word. "Not demanded?" Pelaya shook her head. "Our leaders are concerned about the length of our absence and the lack of concrete data we've gathered on Earth's current state." "What, frolicking in waterfalls with a hunky human doesn't count as valuable research?" Justin quipped, but the humor fell flat even to his own ears. Lavea's lips twitched in what might have been a smile under different circumstances. "I'm afraid not. They expect us to return within the next solar cycle to begin preparations for cryosleep." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air. Justin stared into the flames, his mind racing. He'd known from the beginning that this was temporary, that the twins had a duty to their dying world. But somewhere along the way, he'd allowed himself to hope for more. "When do you leave?" he asked, his voice rougher than he'd intended. "We haven't decided," Pelaya said softly. "That's what we've been discussing, whether we should go at all." Justin's head snapped up, hope flaring in his chest. "You're considering staying?" Lavea nodded slowly. "The thought has occurred to us, but it is not a decision to be made lightly. Our entire civilization depends on us returning to enter cryosleep with the others." "But what kind of life is that?" Justin argued, leaning forward intently. "Sleeping away eternity, hoping for a miracle that might never come. You've seen what Earth has to offer, what life has to offer. Can you really go back to that sterile existence?" Pelaya's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "It's not that simple, Justin. We have a responsibility to our people, to our history." "I know," Justin sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know it's not fair of me to ask you to abandon everything for this." He gestured vaguely at their surroundings. "For me, but I can't help it. The thought of losing you both, it kills me." Lavaya reached out, placing a cool hand on his arm. "We are equally conflicted," she admitted. "These past weeks have awakened something in us that we thought long dead. Passion, joy, a zest for life itself. The prospect of returning to our world, of giving that up." She trailed off, shaking her head. "So stay," Justin pleaded. "Stay here with me. We can build something amazing together, a new society, blending the best of both our worlds." Pelea laughed softly, but there was a hint of sadness in the sound. "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is," Justin insisted. "Maybe we're just overthinking it. Follow your hearts. What do they tell you?" The twins shared another of their silent looks, volumes passing between them in the span of a heartbeat. "Our hearts," Lavaya said slowly, "are decidedly conflicted, but they do speak quite loudly where you are concerned, Justin of Earth." Justin's own heart soared at her words, but he forced himself to remain calm. "Look, I'm not asking for an answer right now, just promise me you'll think about it. Really think about it, and know that whatever you decide, I'll support you, even if it breaks my heart to see you go." Pelea leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to his cheek. "We promise," she whispered. The days that followed were bittersweet, filled with laughter and adventure, but always overshadowed by the looming decision. Justin threw himself into showing the twins every wonder Earth had to offer, as if he could somehow tip the scales in his favor through sheer force of will. They explored ancient ruins, marveling at the remnants of human civilization. They danced under the stars, their bodies moving in perfect harmony. They shared quiet moments by the fire, discussing philosophy, science, and the nature of existence itself. And through it all, Justin fell deeper and deeper in love with both Lavaya and Pelea. Their differences fascinated him. Lavaya's analytical mind and hidden passion, Pelea's open wonder and infectious joy. Together, they formed a perfect whole, and Justin couldn't imagine his life without either of them. As the deadline for their decision approached, the tension became almost unbearable. Justin caught Lavaya and Pelea in frequent hushed conversations, their expressions alternating between anguish and resolve. Finally, on the eve of their scheduled departure, the twins approached Justin as he sat by the fire, lost in thought. "We've made our decision," Lavaya announced, her voice steady despite the emotion shimmering in her eyes. Justin's heart hammered in his chest. This was it. The moment that would define the rest of his life. He stood, facing the women he'd come to love more than he'd ever thought possible. "Whatever you've decided," he began, his voice rough with emotion, "I want you to know that these past weeks have been the happiest of my life. You've shown me that there's still magic in this world, still hope for a better future, and I'll be forever grateful for that, no matter what happens next." Pelea stepped forward, taking his hand in hers. "Oh, Justin," she said softly, "how could we possibly leave you after all of that?" Justin blinked, hardly daring to believe what he was hearing. "You mean?" Lavaya nodded, a rare smile spreading across her face. "We're staying, Justin, here, on Earth, with you." A tidal wave of emotion crashed over Justin. Joy, relief, and a love so intense it threatened to overwhelm him. He pulled both women into a fierce embrace, holding them close as if he could somehow merge their three hearts into one. "But what about your people?" he asked when he finally found his voice again. "Your duty?" "We've given it a great deal of thought," Lavaya explained. "And we've come to realize that our duty isn't just to preserve our past, but to forge a new future, one that embraces life in all its messy, wonderful glory." Pelea nodded enthusiastically. We believe that by staying here, by helping to rebuild Earth and create a new hybrid society, we can do more good than we ever could in cryosleep. Plus, she added with a mischievous grin, we've become rather addicted to this particular human. The thought of giving you up was simply unbearable. Justin laughed, joy bubbling up from deep within him. Well, I can't argue with that logic. Welcome home, my alien goddesses. As they stood there, bathed in the warm glow of the fire, Justin marveled at the twist of fate that had brought them together. 3 lost souls from different worlds, finding love and purpose in the most unlikely of places. So, he said, grinning from ear to ear, what's our first order of business as Earth's new power couple? Triple? Lavea raised an eyebrow. I believe our first priority should be contacting our homeworld to explain our decision. They may not understand, but they deserve to know. Pelea nodded in agreement. And then, perhaps we can begin exploring ways to revive some of Earth's dormant technology. There must be a way to wake at least some of the humans from their virtual slumber. Justin's mind raced with possibilities. Absolutely. And we can start planning for the future, sustainable living, rebuilding communities, maybe even preparing for the day when we can welcome more of your people to Earth. As they talked long into the night, outlining plans and dreams for their shared future, Justin felt a sense of purpose he'd never known before. This was more than just survival. This was a chance to build something truly extraordinary. The road ahead would be challenging, no doubt. Cultural misunderstandings, the enormous task of reviving Earth's civilization, and the complexities of their unconventional relationship would all pose obstacles. But as Justin looked at Lavea and Pelea, he knew that together they could overcome anything. As the first light of dawn began to paint the sky, Justin stood, pulling both women to their feet. "Come on," he said, grinning. "I think this calls for a sunrise yoga session. Let's greet our first day as Earth's new guardians in style." Lavea and Pelea laughed, falling into step beside him as they made their way to a nearby hilltop. As they moved through their poses, bodies in perfect harmony, Justin felt a profound sense of rightness wash over him. This was where he belonged, where they all belonged, and whatever challenges the future held, they would face them together. One human and 2 aliens, bound by love and a shared vision for a brighter tomorrow. As the sun crested the horizon, bathing them in its warm glow, Justin couldn't help but smile. The adventure was only just beginning. And so, dear readers, we bid farewell to Justin, Lavea, and Pelea as they embark on their interspecies journey of love, rebuilding, and questionable yoga positions. One can only imagine the adventures that lie ahead for Earth's new power throuple. Will they successfully wake humanity from its virtual slumber, or will they decide it's more fun to have the planet to themselves? Looking at you, Wall-E. Perhaps they'll encounter other alien races, leading to hilarious misunderstandings and potential dance-offs. We see you, Guardians of the Galaxy. Or maybe they'll discover that Earth was a simulation all along and they're actually in a giant alien zoo. That's right, we haven't forgotten you. The Matrix meets Planet of the Apes. Whatever the future holds, we can be sure it will involve plenty of witty banter, awkward cultural exchanges, and at least one scene where Justin tries to explain the concept of a dad joke to his confused alien partners. As Douglas Adams would say, "So long and thanks for all the fish." Wait, wrong story. But you get the idea. Thank you, dear listeners, for joining us on this cosmic journey of love, laughter, and questionable alien biology. May your own lives be filled with as much adventure and far fewer instances of accidental tentacle-related mishaps. And remember, in the words of the great philosopher Spock, live long and prosper. But maybe don't prosper quite as literally as our trio, or we might have a population problem on our hands.